Welcome to the Guided Expressions podcast with Martin Williams, the place to learn and be inspired to live your best life. Here is your host, Martin Williams.
And thank you for tuning in to the Guided Expressions podcast. My name is Martin Williams. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You may do so at Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. All the links to the podcast can be found at guidedexpressions.com/podcast. And today what I wanted to talk to you about is acting as if. Now, there's this really cool documentary that has been coming on for the past few weeks called The Last Dance. And it centers around the Chicago Bulls, which is a professional basketball team during their most successful years in the early to mid 90s. And of course, the central player of that team was a man by the name of Michael Jordan, who is considered by many to be the greatest basketball player that ever lived. And he also had wonderful, very successful teammates, such as Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc, and, they were coached by Phil Jackson and, Dennis Rodman as well. And that whole era was very interesting. And it's always been interesting for me because that was a time when I was really into basketball. I was a teenager going into young adulthood when the Bulls were at their height. And, I loved watching it. I was actually rooting against them because I was a New York Knicks fan. And, it just made it very interesting. It was always interesting. It was always exciting. It was always must-see TV whenever the Bulls came on. So this documentary has been very enjoyable, especially during this time when, there's so many negative things going on and certainly serious things that, many of us are dealing with. It's nice to have a little break from all of that to really enjoy. So, the people that did the documentary have done an excellent job. But I wanted to talk about Michael Jordan in particular and his mindset. And, if you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you know that I talk a lot about mindset. I talk a lot about the way you think, because I truly believe that the way you think determines your outcomes in life. And most people don't really address their mindset. They really don't address the way they think. They try to change their actions, but they spend less time changing their mindset. And I think that that's backwards. Michael Jordan had a mindset of success, but it wasn't just success. I mean, he certainly was successful, but he had a mindset of domination. He made a decision that whenever he set foot on the court, he was going to be the best player on the court. It didn't matter whoever else was on the other side or who else were on the court at the time. He was going to be the best player on the court. And just the way that he approached his preparation, he worked harder than anyone else. He practiced longer than anyone else. He lifted weights longer than anyone else. And it showed on the court. But is that the reason why that he was successful? I think it's a part of it. But I also think the other part is that he had the mindset to do that. Because if you don't have the proper mindset, you're not going to work that hard. You're not going to put in the extra time or the extra work. You're not going to get up early or stay later. You're at some point, you're going to say, well, what's the use? And, you're going to get tired. You may get bored. You may, all these different things. But, Michael Jordan, he made a decision he was going to be the best. And he retired being exactly that. And even though there have been many great players that have come after him, many people still consider him the greatest basketball player that ever lived. So I want to talk about you, and I want to talk about what is it that you want to accomplish in life? Where do you feel stuck? What have you been trying to start that you haven't been able to start? What have you been trying to finish that you haven't been able to finish? And I would submit to you that the reason that you have not been able to start or finish or really find the level of success that you've been wanting to find is because of your mindset. And mindset is very simple. It's a decision to be or live a certain way. And when you make that decision, it's amazing how things begin to bend to your will. It's amazing how things begin to open up. It's amazing how things begin to fall into place when you make up your mind that you're going to do something or be something or have something. So if you've decided, or if you've desired, I should say, to lose weight, what is your mindset around that? Have you made a decision that you're no longer going to be at your current weight, that you're going to live at a healthier weight? Have you made a decision to get a better job? Have you made a decision to leave your current job and start a business? Have you made a decision that you're going to be treated and loved the way that you deserve to be treated and loved? Have you made a decision to become closer with God? Have you made that decision? Have you made a decision to be a better parent, to be a better friend, to be a better member of society? All of these are decisions that we all have to make. And a lot of times what happens is that people spend their lifetime desiring something, but they never make a decision to actually obtain it. And so I want to challenge you to really look at how you're thinking about a situation. If there's something that you've been wanting for over a year and you don't have it yet, I think the real issue is your mindset. I think you really have to address what you've been thinking. Because I know that the things that I live and the things that I have obtained in my life didn't happen until I made a decision to have them. It didn't happen until I made a decision that this is how I'm going to live from now on. I'm not going to go back down to the level I was living at 10 years ago. I won't. I just refuse to do that. And that means that I have to behave in a certain way. It means that I have to make certain decisions and certain choices that I wasn't making 10 years ago. But your decisions and your choices are going to lead you into a new life, but you got to decide that you're going to make those decisions because they're not always going to be easy. But if you decide to do that and you decide to change the way you think, and then change the direction from which you're thinking, right? Instead of thinking of being the best, think as if you are the best. And then start asking questions. Would the best in my field not do everything they could to solve this problem? Like, say there's a problem at work and nobody else can really figure out the solution. If you see yourself as the best in your industry or the best at your job at what you do, ask yourself, would the best person in this industry leave something like this undone or half done? Or would they see it through? Would they do everything they could to make that thing a solved problem? You know, really begin to start thinking of yourself as the person that you want to be. And then start living and acting from that place. Start living and acting as if you're at your ideal weight. If I'm at my ideal weight, I'm not going to eat pizza and drink soda all day. Okay? I'm going to eat better. I'm going to make better choices overall. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to plan my meals out more. It's a completely different shift. But that mindset shift is what allows you to not only obtain the thing that you want, but also keep it. So really challenge yourself to think differently about what it is that you want. And you will begin to see changes in your life and in those areas that you want to see change in. So my name is Martin Williams. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Guided Expressions podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the podcast. And I will talk to you soon.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Guided Expressions podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify to get all the latest content from Guided Expressions. No one builds a house without a blueprint, so why are you trying to build your dream life without one? That's how the Blueprint course was created. The Blueprint course is for people who know they were meant for more. Created by Martin Williams, the Blueprint is a streamlined way to help you create the life you've always wanted. Get instant access now by clicking the link in the description box or going to guidedexpressions.com/blueprint.